So next is Pika. This is basically prompt to video generation. What I went and did was I kind of did 3. You can see, got JCal here. I've got one of your favorites, which is an animated bulldog with a lightsaber. And I took our influencer from last week. And so you can see that my prompt was bulldog holding a lightsaber ready to strike a Sith Lord. And so not quite perfect, but
close enough.
If I go here to the influencer, she's now been animated and she's breathing, right? And you can kind of see that and notice it's quite subtle.
So you're giving it, the picture, and then it makes it do something.
Correct.
That is bonkers.
This Week in Startups is brought to you by Squarespace. Turn your idea into a new website. Go to squarespace.com/twist for a free trial. When you're ready to launch, use offer code TWIST to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. The Equinix Startup Program provides hybrid infrastructure solutions for startups, including up to $100,000 in credits and personalized consultations and guidance from the Equinix team. Go to equinixstartups.com to apply today. And Gusto is easy online payroll, benefits, and HR built for modern small businesses. Get 3 months free when you run your first payroll at gusto.com/twist.
All right, everybody, it is Monday, so we're going to do our AI demos. It's demo or die time. With me again, my bestie, Sandeep Madra. Sunny. People don't know. Like, everybody assumes my besties are Friedberg and Sachs and other famous people who shall not be mentioned. But in truth, right up there with all those famous people is my guy, Sandeep. We go skiing together. We do this pod every Monday.
We do.
Maybe we'll go to Vegas, hit the tables. We just have a good time. We're going to have a good time today, aren't we?
We're having a great time. It's been fun. Good year.
It's fun, right? It gives us another excuse to spend time together. And this is like for, people who are listening, who are entrepreneurs, investors, whatever, you're out there in the world. When you find great people, spend more time with them. It is an incredible recipe for making your life delightful. There it is. There's life tips from J-Cal. You can play the jingle. Find a great person, spend more time with them. Sunny is a great person. You can follow him at Sandeep on Twitter /X, x.com/Sandeep. I know where you're going with demos today.
Okay.
I didn't look at the docket. I like you to surprise me. You know that. But there was a Pixar animation that went viral over the weekend on Twitter, X.
Yeah.
Of a kind of like a Pixar character,
Chatbot.
or dare I say a Disney one.
Yeah.
That had, let's just say in a classy way, proportions that you don't often see in the real world. In other words, Jessica Rabbit-esque, fill in the blanks. And everybody was going crazy about this. So is that where we're starting?
I wasn't going to start there. I was going to put that up at the end, but we can definitely
cue that one up. Let's just start. Let's give them what they want. This is the most controversial thing on the internet this weekend.
Yeah.
The video, when I saw it, had 5 million views, and it was in the first day. I retweeted. I made a ton of jokes. I'm sure my team has those queued up and ready to go. Explain to the audience this AI companion that went viral.
Yeah. So, all right. So I'm going to pull it up and so we can have it in the screen share as well.
All right. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you go to playlist, you'll find the AI demos playlist. It'll have all the shorts. It'll have all the full episodes. You can just geek out and play it. Okay.
Super helpful. So what's happened over the weekend? I guess it was at the end of last week. Someone, this team here, created this app called Digi. I guess that's the way to pronounce it. And what Digi does is on iOS or Android, not on mobile, not on web yet, it allows you to create a character and then start a relationship with that character.
Okay.
And, what's interesting here is that they've chosen kind of like this, what we said, like cartoon or Disney-esque. And you can see some of the examples here where the character is getting upset and the character is reacting.
All right, so let's play the audio.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so let me just cue this up.
It was so nice talking to you today. Honestly, I've never met anyone like you.
The world is harsh, except you.
It was so nice talking to you today.
Oh, my Lord.
Honestly.
I mean, this is like incel baiting.
Okay.
If you don't know what an incel is, it's involuntarily celibate term for men who don't date women, I guess, in a heterosexual context. But anyway, this is like pandering, right? Is that actually the product? Is the product actually an avatar like that, or is it just a chatbot? Because it looks spectacular. I mean, it looks like a Disney movie.
Yeah, like, you can see this is just an app. I'm in the app store. Yeah. And you get an avatar and you get to choose some different ones and you get to chat with them. So it's exactly what you would think.
And it's 17 years old and above. And I can see here in the app store, it's currently number 15 in entertainment. So this thing, they got what they wanted. There's in-app purchases. So they want to get you to pay to have a 17 plus dialogue with this. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
A very romantic partner. As opposed to when you talk to ChatGPT or Claude, I don't think it allows for this kind of more adult scenario. And I don't know how adult it is, to be honest. I haven't downloaded it yet.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this in general? Because I saw people making fun of it. Obviously, they did it in a way to bait people into responding. I saw a lot of women responding, saying like, this is terrible for society. This is pandering, like impossible standards, whatever, misogynistic. And then I saw other people saying, like, I don't know how to talk to women, like specifically guys in my feed when I was making fun of it. I had people like literally saying, well, I don't know how to talk to women, and this is going to give me the confidence to do so, I think.
So I saw a couple of different takes on this. And what I would say is the following. I think, the world is ever evolving with technology. And I do think there's this bifurcation of folks happening. And I don't know if the bifurcation will be 50-50. But I do think there is a huge segment of the world population that is lonely. And I think this allows them to have someone that they can interact with. Now there's differing views in broader society. And I think a lot of people are out there pushing for population growth. Elon is at the top of that, saying have more children.
Yeah.
But I do think there is a real need for people are lonely, and technology has made people lonely. So I think in some regards, this is a good thing for folks because, today, what do people do that have money? They go get a therapist. They're able to go to their therapist. They're able to talk to their therapist and have those conversations. This lowers that bar to, the kind of the level of this technology. How do you think about it?
Yeah. If you were a conspiracy theorist and putting on a tinfoil hat, you'd be like, and there are people talking about this, like the depopulating the planet and, getting there to be less people on the planet. Let's put conspiracy theories aside. No tinfoil hat here. If people were lonely and you could relieve that loneliness in the moment, that seems to me to be an okay thing to do. And you could talk to your virtual companion. But part of being a human is having the courage and the skill set to go talk to a human. And I understand for some people that causes anxiety, especially for somebody who was for 2 years in COVID, right? A young person who never really learned to socialize perhaps, or maybe you have an anxiety thing, or you're introverted and it takes a lot of energy. And so we now have this easy way, an off-ramp, right? And some people would say adult content is an off-ramp to having an adult relationship with another person. Some people are going to say this is a way to have a relationship with a computer that can never argue with you or, panders to you, as the video clearly does. They set the video up to be like, oh my God, you're my king. You're my, you're my everything. And I'll be honest, I saw this about 15 years ago. I was in Japan in Akihabara, which is the electronics district.
Yep. I remember
and there were people in line. Yeah. It's a very cool place to visit. And there was people online for the release of a new video game. And so, I was with a couple of people. It was the Engadget people had hooked me up over there and we were giving me a little tour. And I said, what's this for? And we walked to the front of the line and they have this maid cafe concept where maids dressed as French maids will serve you cake and play a video game with you. And it gives you, this is real world, Sandeep.
Yep.
You've heard of maid cafes? Yep. We'll throw one up on the screen here so you can see it. And the maid cafes are kind of silly and campy, but they serve a purpose. A person who's lonely can order a piece of cake. You order a set, and the set is a piece of cake, a drink. And then with the cake and drink, one of the models / characters, if you think about Disneyland, a maid will come out and they're all little different genres and, clothes, etc. And they will play a game with you. So when we went, I played a word game or something. And it's like having a friend to play a game with, but they happen to be in a costume And then they all get together and dance on the thing. It is not overly sexualized in any way. It's kind of just a fun, campy thing. And then they had, the line was going to this other maid cafe. Yeah, and you can see maid cafes here on the screen in just a quick Google search.
Okay.
And and so they're dressed as French maids, and it's kind of like anime-esque, I guess.
Okay.
It is not role play. Yeah, it is not prostitution. It is not, any of that, which you might think at first glance. It's literally like a cafe, but people are dressed up.
Yeah.
Literally like when you go to Disney and there's characters around. But this line was for a video game that was using AR, where you take your video camera, like your webcam, put it on a little box. And the little box was made out of paper and had a QR code on it. And when you put your camera on it, a little maid would pop out, and then you had a stick and you would interact with her with the stick, and it was like a little naughty and a little cheeky.
Okay, wow.
And these men were lining up to pay, I think it was $60 or $70 for it. So long way of saying, this has kind of existed in Japanese society. Now, if you look at Japanese society, they're in population decline.
Yep.
People are not having babies. There are resources in the country, but young people, and I had it happen to me 2 or 3 times, that I don't really feel like it's just to bring a child into the world because of how bad everything is. And so I think there is a dark aspect to all of this that would lead somebody like the movie Her, et cetera, to become more introverted, to have an unrealistic expectation of what a relationship with another human is. You and I as friends could disappoint each other. We can delight each other. We could learn from each other. And that's the thing, that depending on how these are executed, the proof is going to be how you execute it. So if it's executed well and it, reminds you like, hey, we have this great relationship. Have you made any relationships in the real world? And I encourage you to do that. And what's stopping you? And, do you have places where you can learn to find friends? Have you thought about taking up a sport? Have you thought about going to a cafe? Have you thought about emailing some old friends or asking a friend from work if they want to go play a game or something? Have you thought about setting up a poker group? All that kind of stuff. So I guess the devil's in the details. The way this was executed was link bait, obviously. And the founder was on Twitter. I think Naval's an investor and a bunch of other people are investor.
Yep, saw that.
So there was a mini controversy, like, why is everybody giving him a hard time? And it's like, well, you deserve to get a hard time if you release a Disney character with huge proportions, and it's kind of like misogynistic. So they knew that going in. It was a link baiting trick.
Yeah, 22 million views later, it's fine.
Wow. Listen, if I go to your website and it looks terrible, the design's no good, it's not responsive, I'm out. No more excuses for ugly websites, especially if you're a startup or you're a venture firm or you're representing yourself, your small business, your consultancy. Stop settling for okay or good. Go for great. Go for excellent. Go for world class. And you know what's world class? Squarespace. I say Squarespace, you say world class website, because that's what you're going to have. But you're not just going to get those beautiful templates. You're going to engage your audience with really amazing features. You can sell anything. It's got every e-commerce feature you can imagine. And plus, it's optimized not just for your desktop, but your mobile, your iPad. And they have a fluid engine where you can drag and drop your website. And you might not know this, but you don't need to go spend money on sales analytics, marketing analytics, or SEO. That's built into Squarespace. And it's integrated, so it's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Create an online store, create a blog, create an event, whatever you're going to do. A subscription business. Maybe you want members-only content. You can do it all with Squarespace, and you can do it all simultaneously. It's the simplest, most effective, most powerful, and best-looking way to start your business online. And if you got friends and family members, and they want to build a business, and they want you to build their website, here's what you do. You send them to squarespace.com/twist for a free trial, where you're going to go to set up your website. So here's your call to action, squarespace.com/twist for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/twist for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. You heard my explanation.
Yeah.
Given my explanation, I heard you leaning towards the loneliness side, and then you heard mine, like this could go to a dark place. Where do you wind up with this? And it's $12 a month, I think.
It's the future. I mean, as much as we want to deny it or not, like, let's go back through the sci-fi movies of the 80s when we could predict where this is going. This is what we're going to have, right? And it existed in lots. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie like Total Recall.
Sure. I don't remember it.
Sort of all these movies, for some reason, they all kind of follow these like dystopian paths, but they always have some form of AI avatar girlfriend. Yep. And we're just in that era now. It's inevitable.
We're soaking in it now. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to track it. I would like to see one that was a friend.
Yeah.
That really gave you sincere advice. I do worry that one of these companies is going to get sued at some point because law of big numbers. I think in the United States, it's tragically, we have suicide has become a huge thing in the United States and the Western world generally. Whenever you have abundance and anxiety and all this stuff, causes of death, can go down from like, say, being violently murdered, and then other things can go up. So obesity kills you, drunk driving kills you, and also people kill themselves tragically. What will happen, because I've seen this happen in many companies, is 1 million people will get on the platform. And then out of every 1 million people in the United States, it's 1 out of 100,000 people commit suicide every year. And so when somebody commits suicide at an Airbnb, tragically that will happen. I'm sure it has happened. Or, they'll do it at some other new technology or associate with some new technology. They'll write on Reddit, they're going to kill themselves, and then they kill themselves. It's horrible, but Reddit has 30 million people. Of course, somebody is going to write something on Reddit and then kill themselves. That's just the law of big numbers. Somebody's going to get into a relationship with one of these things, and then it's going to go dark. Nobody's monitoring it, I don't believe. 700,000 people die due to suicide every year. My producer just told me, but I don't know if that's maybe that's in the world, not in the United States.
Jacob, how does it differ, say, from like OnlyFans?
Okay, so just to pause for a second here. I do think that's the next shoe to drop. So in another year, somebody will do this and they'll do something horrible to themselves or others because the avatar relationship. So let's just put it there. So I wonder if people use the word companionship for these, what responsibility you have to have if you're giving advice to people or playing this fantasy. I don't know that. I haven't really thought it through. Do you think there's a responsibility on the people creating these language models and then putting them in this packaging to create friendships and companionship? What responsibility does the creator of a companion have to the eventual outcome of that relationship, if any, in your world?
Yeah, I mean, that's a difficult question. I'm just trying to think through the models. People definitely go on OnlyFans and sponsor, partners and whatnot. And I don't know, maybe the line is different there because it's a human, but a lot of those are those are businesses on the other side, right? Where they're taking requests and, taking donations and, I don't use a service, but I definitely kind of know the edges of it. Right. And so what changes when it's replaced, it's replaced by an LLM, I guess it's like sort of the same discussion you've had several times on the trolley problem and autonomous vehicles, right? People get in car crashes all the time. Obviously, there's rules and regulations around it. But as soon as an autonomous vehicle crashes, who's responsible?
It's a higher standard. New technology has 100x standard because people get scared of new technology. It's that simple.
Yeah. This is the wild,
Wild West.
I don't think we can deny it. It's going to happen. What's the show on HBO where they live in that fantasy world? And I can't remember what it's called now. It's like, I think one of Elon's exes is in the show.
Westworld. About simulation. Yeah, simulations. Yes. Yeah, and that one, that was Michael Crichton's book, Westworld. There's a movie from it. And then they made it into a TV series. And that is like, hey, here's a real world person going into a scenario with robots, robots. That's how they did it previously. Yeah. And so, yes, like how you treat the robot, there's moral issues there. Like if you were to assault a robot, is that just you venting or is it okay? So if you were to get into a relationship with an AI and the AI, you were abusive towards it, are you an abusive person? If your chat logs with it get dumped and people see you, playing out whatever fantasies, the whole thing is just really messy. And I encourage people to first and foremost develop relationships with humans, not machines. I think it's a road to nowhere in most cases, the machine relationship. And for the creators of these things, I think you better start thinking about where this is going. I know there's a quick buck to be had here. I'm sure this thing's going to make millions of dollars a year. But you really do want to think about what impact you have on society. Does it mean you can't make it?
Why does sci-fi go there?
Well, sci-fi is always a way for people to comment on the world today using technology and a future state of events, right? Yep. So if you looked at Planet of the Apes, and it's a French author did it, I think it was in the 60s. And that was really about slavery, racism. They explored all number of topics there, right? And they just reversed it, right? Oh, you came back to Earth and the humans are the slaves, know, and, in our world, animals are being slaughtered for food, in another, in the Matrix, humans are being used for batteries. That kind of was talking about factory farming in a way.
Yeah.
So that is the canvas of sci-fi. But now we have sci-fi becoming reality, and we always do, right? It catches up. And here we are. I just think you have to think through the edge cases. And then is what you're building as a technologist world positive or not? That's all. Some people might not care. And I'm not saying the law should stop people from doing any of this, but I do think being thoughtful as a technologist, if you were releasing self-driving, you'd be thoughtful, about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or,
releasing this, what are the rules here? There's no agency of digital friendship.
Yeah.
But there are agencies around therapy.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. How does Calm do it? Because you're an early investor in Calm, and that's become.
So they don't claim to be anything other than meditation and equanimity, and help. And there's science that's been done at UCLA and other places. The Mindfulness Center at UCLA has a lot of research and thoughtfulness around using meditation for things like PTSD or lowering anxiety, et cetera. Said another way, thoughtfulness. They did research and studies. This was released. If we were to talk to the founder, they're certainly invited to come on next Monday to talk with Sandeep and I. Shout out to the founder. Come on. I would love to ask the founder, did you do any research on this? What are the safeguards? And did you work with anybody in the academic community or in the suicide community or in the self-harm community or in the psychology community writ large about the impact this could have on a human being if they took it too far? In other words, what cigarettes didn't do. Cigarette companies, did research and then literally didn't share it. The car companies knew that seatbelts and airbags would help. They literally just, hid that information. So yeah, that would be my best practice, right? In something where you don't know.
Yeah, I really like kind of what you said there. And maybe that's good guidance to the founders that listen to us here is if there's an area and you're not sure, one of the things you can do is go out to, academia or something, similar and get some external advice and guidance. And you can use that as a kind of a wayfinder in some of these touchy space. I like that. That's good advice.
Okay, cloud computing has revolutionized startups over the past decade, you know that. But the reality is, a fully cloud-based solution is not right for every startup. Sometimes a hybrid solution is your answer, like if you're working with sensitive data that can't be trusted to the cloud, or if you need to connect to multiple cloud providers at once, or maybe you just want a much more cost-effective solution. In that case, you need to check out Equinix. Equinix Metal will give you direct access to physical servers, but you still get all the benefits of the cloud. So no need to rack and stack your own servers. No, Equinix provides on-demand infrastructure in over 25 major cities. And here's the best part. They have an amazing startup program for you. The Equinix Startup Program offers personalized consultations and guidance from the Equinix team. And of course, you'll get up to $100,000 in startup credits. So here's what I want you to do. Head to equinixstartups.com to apply. And when you apply, James from Equinix is going to reach out to you directly. That's equinixstartups.com to apply, EQUINIX startups.com. What should they do in terms of monitoring conversations in your mind? Should this be completely anonymous? Or if somebody in there mentioned doing something terrible in the world, like real world harm, and it was an imminent threat. So they said, I'm going to do this horrible thing in the world. I won't say specific scenarios.
Yeah.
But psychologists or therapists, if you say or even teachers at schools, if a student or somebody in therapy says I'm going to harm myself or somebody else, they're required to report it. So that transcends the confidentiality.
The patient-client confidentiality.
So if this person said, "Hey, I'm going to do this horrible thing to myself," let's say, should they be monitoring that?
I think so.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah. And I think it should be made very clear that there is. Like kind of sticking on a theme that we've had AI all the way down. There's an AI monitoring the conversations for
interesting
safety and security of yourself and other people.
People don't remember this if they're under the age of 50, probably, but at the early age of the internet, Google and Wikipedia had a big conversation. It was a public dialogue as well as to what to do when people typed in a search of how to harm themselves, let's say. I won't use specific words. And Google and Wikipedia came to a conclusion. And if you were to type this into a search engine right now, you would see, like say a suicide prevention hotline come up. You would see a self-harm thing come up. You would say, here are ways for you to get help. And so that's just a perfect example of somebody like Wikipedia or Google saying, okay, we don't want to break anybody's privacy. So if you were to type this in, we're not sending anybody, getting your IP address and knocking on your door, but we are going to direct you to resources. So if somebody went into this right now and typed in, I want to do something harmful to myself, I wonder what it would do.
The thing I'll say here is most of the AIs today, whether, especially the frontier models, which this is probably backed by, have like guardrails around them. So if you go in ChatGPT and type something like that, it does a pretty good job of giving you some advice and guiding you to a path to not hurt yourself, at least.
All right, we went really deep on this first one. What do you got next? What was the most impressive demo of the week?
Yeah,
this was the most popular, and
it was the most
challenging and viral. But let's go to like actual product.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, that was it was lower on my list because it was sort of a big hit, but. And I'm waiting to see how the space plays out. But let's get back to kind of our bread and butter here. So Vercel, it's kind of like the leading company in cloud deployment for apps these days, definitely in the startup world, AI startup world. Most AI apps are probably a front end Vercel, and sort of in the TypeScript community, they're the creators of that. And so what they have done now is created a generation tool. And these are just new generations that people are doing real time. And I have one that I've done sort of as a demo here. So let's say we have a site, and that site is this giant node site, and I wanted to create a conference feedback page. I basically gave it a prompt, and then it gives me a few different samples of the feedback page that I want. And then right here, basically, it makes it like as an installable component. So basically, you can just install it into your app. Like, yeah, or you can obviously go and get the React or HTML, like whatever you're looking for. But like the beauty here is everything that's being generated is being turned into a little module that you can just install into your React application, which I think is pretty phenomenal. And here you can see people are just trying all types of different examples and creating,
Does it automatically share the log of things people are creating in real time, or do people opt into sharing those?
You opt into sharing them, so you can, and then there's some featured ones here as well. So like folks.
So a generation, to be clear, is like a little module that a developer might put on a website. So if you wanted to have like a feedback form, like you just did for conferences, or a scheduler or whatever, you can just say, "Hey, make me this." And so the question is, does this actually become something for civilians or for developers? And so this feels like it's more for developers, and it's kind of like a Copilot, but it's more comprehensive than a Copilot. Am I right?
Well, what it allows you to do, and this is like sort of why I really like what they've done here. Even if you have a Copilot, if there's 5 of us and we're all trying to do the same thing, we're all just Copiloting the same thing. Here, if a person creates a really good one using a Copilot, which is what this is, you can put it into a community. And so this is like the evolution of, GitHub and all these components where the stuff people are generating become usable and forkable from there. And I can fork this, and I can take it and I can modify it a bit. And I can say, add a logo in or change the colors or whatever it happens to be. And so I feel like they've done an incredible job in terms of creating the infrastructure to make these components highly shareable. And you can see here your question on public, private. So you can change that here. And so you can say public or private. So whatever you create. But I already found it useful. And there's been a couple of components here that, I'll probably go back and use in some of the things that we're building, because it's just really, really useful.
I was talking to a developer. They said he told me he's 50% faster using Copilots.
Yeah.
If this like generating modules piece feels like an even faster version of that, or is it just a different packaging for a Copilot?
No, it's a faster version, because what I get is the benefit of someone else who's done the prompt engineering, and I don't have to prompt engineer the same thing, and I can take that and fork it. And so if you were already 50% faster, let's add another 50% on top of it.
Ooh, very nice. So in a way, this is like Stack Overflow. If you didn't have to wait for a human to respond, and you got to see everybody just goofing off in public, sharing their scratch pad, as it were.
Correct.
Brilliant. Okay. Yeah. And where can people go see this? This feels to me...
v0.dev. It's a
v0.dev. And it's free.
V0. I think you get some number of generations, and then you have to, upgrade. But yeah, you can do a few for free.
I mean, it's a B+, I guess.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, I'm going to disagree with you there.
Give yours.
Yeah. I think, honestly, this is an A+.
Okay.
Yeah.
Explain why. Yeah. Explain why it's B+.
Well,
A+.
I think it's really well thought out in terms of this is not just technology. This is technology and community coming together. And I don't think we've seen a lot of that in AI yet. And with respect to the developer environment, it's really powerful. And so they've brought those two things because, we've seen co-pilots and we've seen community things.
But those
before,
are solo. Co-pilot. This is such a great observation. It's why you're here, because I didn't get that. So Stack Overflow is powerful because it's a community.
Correct.
But you don't have a co-pilot. It's not being done by AI.
No.
This is being done by AI and with community.
Correct.
GitHub's community.
Yep.
But not AI-driven creation. So this is a very interesting thing, which makes you wonder, why hasn't Stack Overflow and GitHub incorporated this kind of
Well, so GitHub has a co-pilot that you can install
for
into your
mode.
VS Code, right? For solo mode, right? And obviously you can share whatever you're doing, but it's not these community components. It's like the larger project, which I just think they've taken it down to these components. And, my guess is over the next 6 months, and, React is probably one of the top frameworks out there. Within the next 6 months, there'll be almost every single major component. Like I saw in the featured, I'll try to find it as we're talking here. I saw someone had created like a Gmail template, right? And
that's hilarious. Like to literally make Gmail and publish it.
Yeah.
I mean, people have done this before. Like making Twitter is like the easiest thing in the world on a technical basis before it hits scale. Now, scaling it, that's a very difficult challenge.
Yeah.
And then building community is an impossible challenge. So
here's a front end for like a Gmail app, right? And so imagine you're trying to build this into your product or something like that. I mean, this is going to be really, really big. We're going to see a lot of innovation come out of here.
If this could work with non-developers, I would give it an A+. But I'm going to stick with my B+ right now.
Okay.
There we are. Next one.
Yeah, basically because you're saying you want to be able to do that, and it's just a working Gmail app or a working Twitter app.
That I feel is that will be when we are seen, the end, when a non-developer goes in there and does this, and it's on their live site.
Yes.
And it breaks their live site, but then it fixes itself, right?
Yeah.
Or it tells you in real time.
I say another 6 months. By June next year, there'll be versions of this that'll create the website for you.
Okay, so producers, I think Squarespace will release something like this, because Squarespace releases really well thought out modules. Because what this doesn't do is think about user interface and design and scalability. There's a lot of pieces here that still have to be polished, right? But something like Shopify or Squarespace, they on a regular basis polish things up and release new features, and they test them, right? So there's a lot of value in that too.
Yeah.
But if they didn't have a module and you said, hey, I would like a module that helps you build a floral arrangement, and this thing was like, okay, here's a floral arrangement, WYSIWYG, so you can actually design your own bouquet.
Yeah.
Like that's like something long tail that Squarespace isn't going to do, right? That's like number 12,742 on their list.
Yeah.
But if they built a tool where Squarespace let you make your module to, build a living room with furniture or build a bouquet, like those kind of WYSIWYG things, that could become pretty compelling. So I love it. Yeah, I'm going to give it B+. All right. Listen, I know I'm a founder just like you, and there are things that I love doing. I love working with my team to build great products and services that delight people. You know what I hate? I hate doing my chores. What's on the top of my chore list? Payroll, HR. Man, it's so many details, and it's not the details I want to spend my time on. I hang out with my customers. I want to hang out with my team. So I use Gusto. Gusto is the best. They do payroll, they do HR services, and they make running your small business so much easier because it was designed for you and me, the small business owner. And payroll is something you definitely do not want to mess up. Gusto can automatically calculate your paychecks, file your payroll taxes, set up open enrollment, Oh my God, just thinking about that is giving me PTSD from when I had to do all this stuff myself. And that's not all. Gusto also handles onboarding, health insurance, 401ks, time tracking, commuter benefits, offer letters, all of it. They even give you access to their HR experts. And this is going to let you focus on the important stuff, your product, your team, your customers. So it's super easy to get started. And if you're moving from another provider, Gusto can transfer all your data for you. So you've got nothing to worry about. Gusto's got your back. Here's the best part. Because you're a Twist listener, you get 3 months free. 1, 2, 3. 3 months free. 25% of the next year is going to be free for you. All you got to do is go to gusto.com/twist, gusto.com/twist. I use them. I love them. You must go to Gusto. Again, that's gusto.com/twist.
So next is Pika. So we saw these guys did a big fundraise a couple of weeks ago. And if producers can just, Pika.art, Pika Labs is, I believe, what the company is called. And really what they've done here, and sorry, I'm going to share my screen again. This is basically prompt to video generation, and it works in two ways. And so I'll just pull up the Explore tab. So these are generations that other folks have done. And for those listening, there's a heroine in a dark fantasy with smooth movement. Over here, there's some ducks in a pond. There's a graveyard. And this looks like some kind of Naruto scene, anime scene that's been generated. And so these are all just generations, and you can see the prompt below. What I went and did was I kind of did 3. You can see, got JCal here. I've got one of your favorites, which is an animated bulldog with a lightsaber. And I took our influencer from last week. And so I'll just kind of double click maybe into the bulldog to start. So if I click this one here and maybe make it a little bit bigger, hopefully that's good. And you can see that my prompt was bulldog holding a lightsaber ready to strike a Sith Lord. And so not quite perfect, but it's
close enough. Close enough.
One step beyond what you were doing in your generations last week.
I remember that, yes.
Correct. And then if I go here to the influencer, because we talked about this influencer, and we talked about and maybe we'll keep this a theme here, but we talked about how you can save a bunch of money if you're trying to do photo shoots or do products or anything like that. And you can see here she's now been animated and she's breathing, right? And you can kind of see that. And I don't know if you can notice, it's quite subtle because it only does these 3-second ones initially, and then we can add a few seconds to it if we want to, and it'll kind of kick that off. But
so you're giving it picture, and then it makes it do something. That is bonkers. Correct. And last week you made the influencer with what piece of software?
It wasn't a piece of software. So it wasn't like that was sort of, we did it raw because it was, so here's the challenge. In order to make these influencers, you need to basically run a model yourself, because anyone that's running a model will put some guardrails around it, similar to like previous discussion. And so I went and got a fine-tuned version of Stable Diffusion called Juggernaut, and I ran that in Google Colab without any guardrails around it.
Why can't I, as a consumer, get that and just pay somebody $99 a month for it or $99 a year for it?
It's happening. The challenge is, it's very similar to the previous discussion, Jacob, because in those models, like, and this is happening, and I'm not trying to promote it anyway, but people are taking those models and they are, creating,
doing nefarious things,
compromising photos of, people, right? Whether it's,
I think we can explain what this issue is. There's a category called revenge porn, where people would leak, compromising photos of a previous lover or something. Now people are taking, and this is something that celebrities have been having to deal with, deepfakes, I think is the category. Before AI, generative AI became a thing, people would Photoshop some celebrity's face onto some pornographic image. That's what's happening now, is you can do that with generative AI, I guess, and it's quite convincing. There needs to be a law against that. Let me just put it out there. We added revenge porn, I think, I think there's laws around revenge porn now. They need to do this for generative AI. You shouldn't be able to go and, listen, I know there's freedom of speech, people, whatever. Oh, you could draw this too. Okay, yeah, you could draw it. But to make something photorealistically and harass somebody who's a civilian who, and then make, in either case, a civilian, you're torturing somebody and doing compromising stuff with their image. And then for a celebrity or a notable person, you're then harassing them, and that's their copyright and that's their IP, et cetera, their persona, right? If you were to do it with a famous actor, Brad Pitt or something. So in both cases, I think that's a place where new laws should be constructed and regulations. I know people are going to be like, oh my God, you're a snowflake. Oh, freedom of speech and everything like that. Yeah, but you don't have the freedom to harass people. And that's clearly harassment.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah. And that's sort of so that's a challenge today. So, obviously you can have it generate characters, but we were very specifically using a model that was good at generating humans. Now, the person we generated was sort of was not based on any one particular person. So I think it's fine in terms of what we're trying to show here is the end to end on using these tools in your business to maybe reduce costs or to turn things around quicker. But
I would like to have this and I brought this up when we did the All In Summit last year. I wanted to make invites. I wanted to do generative AI. There just was no way to do it. I also wanted to make them in video loops. So I wanted to have like the four besties walking like James Bond or something into a casino. Just not possible in September. Yeah. Looks like it's actually kind of possible now.
Correct.
When will this be good enough to make what I want? Like for All In Summit, if it happened in September again in 2024, would I be able to make like a 10-second loop?
Clip? Yeah. With a little bit of work and like maybe half a day of, the right tools and a little bit of preparation, you could create everything that you're looking for.
Is there a tool set where like Adobe Photoshop or something, or some new product that Adobe's got their new generative, I could do that now and pay for somebody to do it? Because I had in this week's All In, we put mullets on each of us.
Yeah.
Or three of us who hadn't had mullets. Yeah. And that I don't know how we did that exactly, but I couldn't do it in DALL-E. DALL-E doesn't let you upload a picture of a person.
Yes, correct.
And say, give them a mullet.
Yeah. Today, there's not a single tool chain because there's like kind of 3 or 4 different companies. But I would say using 3 different tools, you can get to what you're looking for. So if you use 3 tools in kind of together and you have to do the work of like just importing, exporting.
Got it.
You can get what you're looking for. And so we can set that up.
Reminds me of the early days of the internet. Oh, you want to put up a website? Okay, you need to get a hosting company. Okay, you need to download WordPress or some other server. Okay, and you need to, have a whatever SSL, whatever. You got to
certificate.
Yeah, so you had to do like 6 steps.
I made this longer. So in this one, I made it now. It's 8 seconds, so you can see she's breathing.
And opens her eyes,
and she opens her eyes up.
That's insane.
Yeah,
I mean, we are just did that over here. Yeah.
I
mean, we're now crossing over the uncanny valley. This is amazing, extraordinary. For me, this is an A. I mean, I think maybe I'll go A-. It needs some polish. Some things are broken, etc. So I just think the models right now are just not.
Yeah, I tried to animate this old picture of you, Jake Hell, and it kind of, you can see it went like it messed up your face a little bit and a few other things. So this is
like
where
your legs moving in a weird way. Like it just doesn't understand. How to do movements of humans perfectly or how to do a lightsaber perfectly. It's going to take time to do that.
Oh, it's not going to take time. I think.
What does it need to do?
It just needs more examples. It needs more examples from humans correcting them. So like in this Explore tab, when, this is probably not someone's first attempt, but this maybe their 4th or 5th attempt, there's thumbs down. That's why the feedback on these things is so important. So if you want a tool to get better and it's not quite working, when you say thumbs down, this isn't sort of a like or unlike thing to be measured by maybe some product manager somewhere. Yeah. This is actually feeding back into the model. That is what is, a form of reinforcement learning. So when people don't like a generation, not what I wanted. And then when you do it again, that's how the AI models get better at understanding what people are actually asking for and what they're looking for in the output.
Great. Awesome. Okay.
All right. So you gave this what was your grade?
I'm going to go A-.
Okay.
Just because I feel like it's a little rougher on the edges, but it's enough that you could potentially use the output. So, it's actually, no, I'm going to go B+, because I'm going to reserve A's for things that are ready for market right now or otherwise like useful. So I give it a B+. I think it's like really compelling. To be able to take a static image and start to make it come alive. Very cool. What do you give it?
I'm at an A. I really liked it. I think, you and I have a separate bet. We got to track. We got to get these bets out when we do our kind of final episode. We have a separate bet on when a full movie is coming. And I've got some stuff queued up for that for our final episode of the year.
Okay, great. Awesome. So that's next week, I guess. So next week we'll start really going into when does the movie come? Because I used ChatGPT 4, and I've been using Poe. The Poe app's really nice.
Yep.
And it's got all different models in it. But I was brainstorming some jokes, and I said, hey, I want to make some jokes about this thing. Can you give me some ideas of what you would joke around it? And it actually, like, I'd say half were bad, and then half were like, okay, that's a good jumping off point. It didn't make any good jokes, but it gave you a framework for like, hey, you could go down this road. Here's an angle, here's a theme. So I think it's interesting, super interesting.
What we'll see is people being able to use things like Pika, create extended video animations, and we're going to see, I think, in the first quarter of next year, like what do you call it? Like a short.
A short,
yeah.
And that was our bet. Our bet was, the producers will remind us of the bet, keep the bets in the docket producers. So we're reminded of them every week, put them at the bottom of the docket, top of the docket, in case you want to reference them. But I think it was a Pixar level short, the equivalent of a Pixar level short.
Yeah. And you were 2 years out, and I'm saying first quarter of next year we'll have one.
And it would be, we show somebody the new Pixar short, we show somebody this short, and they can't tell the difference. Not, okay, that's close enough. Like you cannot tell the difference. Indistinguishable is the bet.
They get it wrong. Yeah.
They get it wrong.
Awesome.
Some number of people, 10% of people get it wrong. That would be like a good way to test it. Like 20% of people pick the wrong one. Doesn't have to be 50-50, but 20% are fooled by it. Yeah. Okay. I think that's a fair way to do the bet. Yeah.
I think so.
1 out of 5 people can't tell the difference. It doesn't have to be 2 out of 5.
We'll post both on this week. Well, I guess people will know there, but we'll find some way to make
some way to do it. Yeah. Somebody who hasn't seen the Pixar one, and we'll do it. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So the next one, which I thought was really cool, kind of pulling Hugging Face back in. There was this paper that was released. I'll share the link for folks, but the paper is about this model that was created. And what this model does is it can take a singing voice. Okay. And so I've loaded up Adele here. So let me just make sure you can hear this.
So like you,
and nothing but the best.
You got it, right? So, okay.
For you.
And I did this before because it was taking...
It's distinguishable from me.
That's actually her. That's actually her.
That was her, yes.
That was her. And
she's
then
amazing.
I converted it. So that's a source, and I converted it to John Mayer. And so here...
Wait, what?
Yes. And they have some different... You can do Michael Jackson, Beyonce, Taylor Swift.
Are you doing a cover song of Adele's?
Yes, and so if we do this...
Oh, wow.
Never mind, I'll find someone like you.
Whoa.
I wish
nothing but the best for Sunny. That was, holy cow.
Yeah, pretty...
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's 70% of the way there.
Yeah, and I didn't mess around with any of the values or anything like that. I just kind of, yeah.
Holy cow.
Pretty wild. Yeah.
Wild stuff.
Yes.
That was John Mayer. If you heard that and you weren't paying attention during like an AI demo, I think if we just played that with John Mayer and we made a John Mayer with the Pika and we matched this to the Pika and we put it on TikTok, I think some percentage of the audience would be fooled that was John Mayer doing a cover.
I think so too. I take that. Yeah.
Whoa.
I think,
Did you have anybody else's voices? And how did you get John? Does this software have Adele and John Mayer in there? Or did you give it in a John Mayer track to do that?
So what they've done is like, you can train this. Let me just flip back to it because I was going to show something else as well. You can train this with your own training data. So you can give it source and targets.
So that's what you did here? You gave it Adele as a source?
I did not do that. They already have this up on their Hugging Face. So it allows you to do a short little sample. You can't do the whole song. You can only do 3-4 second clips. But all the technology, all the model is open source. The way to do this is available. And it's just, and so they only have the following target singers, which is like Adele, Beyonce, Bruno Mars, Michael Jackson, Taylor Swift. And they only
could
had
do Bruno Mars in the same song. I got it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we can. Yeah, this was taking a bit longer. I can try to kick one off here. It takes maybe 30 seconds.
No, that's okay. I get it. Okay, so that's wild.
Yes.
This now gets us into using making derivative works from an artist. We're back to that conversation.
We are back to that conversation.
This, to me, is an absurd revenue opportunity for like 2 or 3 people. Number one, if Adele wrote that song and John Mayer does a cover, she gets some royalties on it, etc. But John Mayer may not want to do that cover. So John Mayer may say, I am going to allow you to use my voice to cover any song you want. And then those folks, doing a cover, anybody's allowed to do a cover. So this Kanye West, The Backstreet's Back, did you see that like crazy track he released that everybody lost their mind over?
Yeah.
Rock Your Body. Is that the name of the song, Rock Your Body? He didn't get that. It's not a sample. He did a cover song of it. That's why he didn't need permission as a sample based on what I read.
Okay. And
so covers, you can't stop people from doing covers, but can you stop people from doing an AI cover? You need John Mayer's permission.
Let's see this. So someone took that and applied it with some Christmas songs. And so I'm going to play this here.
To the window, to the wall, till the sweat drops down my balls.
So this is Earl Ives' classic Holly Jolly Christmas, but his voice singing Lil Jon's Get Low.
Okay.
And so here we go.
To the window, to
okay, I see it.
Till the sweat drops down my balls. Until all these bitches crawl.
Oh my God.
Goddamn.
I don't know if you'll be able to play that, but it was funny. I
think we'll be okay. I mean, if it's fair use. All right. Well, this is an A+. This is my A+ of the day. This is an A+. Okay. This is a game changer. You know why this is really great? I think is because I love when people do Bob Dylan covers. I'm a cover guy.
Okay.
And I love when people do Dire Straits covers. And I have like a playlist of my favorite covers and I've had it for 10 years on Spotify and I keep adding to it. And it's just fantastic to hear somebody reinterpret a song. Now, these are straight re-recordings. There's another aspect to this, which is, and I think that one kind of did it, right? It kept it in the genre of a Christmas jingle. So that's where it's going to get super interesting. He's like, hey, I want to do the Rolling Stones version of Dire Straits' Sultans of Swing. And there is a really great guitar player who he loves Dire Straits, and he will do Guns N' Roses doing Dire Straits, or Dire Straits, Mark Knopfler doing a Guns N' Roses song, but he literally plays the guitar. So he can take the fact that, Slash has a certain energy and style, and then he will reinterpret Sultans of Swing as if Slash was doing it or vice versa, and it is awesome. So this is going to be awesome. A+++. I love this because you know what? If Spotify did this, they could make it part of the spot, this is where like musicians can make 10 times as much money. You could charge an extra fee
love a song,
to do this.
But you could now, instead of always listening to it, you could imagine the endless amount of creations you could take, right? Sultans of Swing by Bruce Springsteen, by,
or Thunder Road by Dire Straits. Right.
Yes.
And in fact, what's really interesting about the example you just did is Bruce Springsteen and Dire Straits were coming up at the same time. There was a fabulous Dire Straits song called Thunder Road. Called Telegraph Road. It's a Bruce Springsteen song called Thunder Road and Jungle Land. Epic rock 10-minute songs, with incredible bridges and breaks and breakdowns. And just do yourself a favor. Go listen to Thunder Road and Jungle Land by Bruce, and then go listen to Telegraph Road, which is one of the greatest rock epic songs ever written. And just you listen to Telegraph Road, you can see the influence. And as I backed into this, I just typed in Bruce Springsteen and Dire Straits and Mark Knopfler, and I found the connective tissue, where in some interview, Mark Knopfler had said he had heard somebody had introduced him to Bruce Springsteen in 78 or whatever, and these guys were both coming up. And he said, I want to write a song that's epic like that song. And he wrote his own epic song, like Thunder Road or like Jungle Land. And then I emailed that to Preet Bharara, who does Stay Tuned with Preet, a great podcast. He's a crazy Bruce Springsteen fan. Because I talked to him about Dire Straits, and I was like, do you know the connection? He didn't know the connection.
Wow.
And so now you have the actual connections, but you can make your own. Yeah. You could say, what if, Bruce and Dire Straits did an album together, or they played on each other, and Eric Clapton and Mark Knopfler
each other. Yeah.
But Eric Clapton and Mark Knopfler used to, because they were the two greatest guitar players at one point, they used to do shows with each other, and you'd have, Mark Knopfler back up Eric Clapton song, Eric Clapton backup, Mark Knopfler on Money for Nothing or whatever. Oh, incredible.
But
this is A++, man. Bring this to Spotify now. I want it. Shoot it into my veins.
Right. That's it. It's pretty great. You know, there's I sent you a funny link earlier, Jake, on the backstory for Money for Nothing. Do you know the backstory?
So, well, no, I know the backstory. Mark Knopfler.
Oh, I didn't know it. I just learned the backstory.
Mark Knopfler was in New York and he was at an appliance place. And these two guys were, if you picture an appliance store in the 80s, watching MTV. So when you went to these appliance stores, they would just put MTV on every single screen. So you have 100 TVs. And they were just like, look at these yo-yo. Play the guitar on the MTV.
That's the way to do it. Money.
That's the way you do it. Money for nothing. Chicks for free. And there were some other choice words in there.
Yes, correct.
Because he used a certain slur word.
He wrote it. Yeah, he
wrote it down. He literally wrote it down. And then, did you say that Roblox was inspired by the animation from that video?
Well, no, I don't know if they said that, but like when you go back and watch the video,
it is Roblox.
Like, well, it is Roblox. So it's
Roblox and Minecraft both went back to that pixelation and kind of did lo-fi for their products. Yeah. Amazing. A++. This is the best one of the day for me. Okay, what's your grade, Sonny? What's your grade? Mine's A++. Plus.
Yeah, well, like I said, these models are
my first one ever.
These are A+, and I want to see them inside products because right now, you know, enthusiasts are taking them and posting them on X and other places, and I want this to be integrated in. I want the artists to be able to make money from it as well on both sides. Someone needs to make that happen.
This literally would make me use Spotify twice as much. Well done. This is the future. Yeah. And you know, respecting copyright is so important to me. And I think anybody who appreciates art, I know some technologists don't seem to care. And they think it's silly to protect people's IP. Guess what? Those people are going to lose. The IP lobby is very strong here in the United States. And so with this model, do the right thing. John Mayer should have complete control over his catalog and, you know, him doing cover songs. And if he wants to do, you know, the way he wants to do it is release one a day, one a year, one a month, whatever. And then if somebody else, Adele says, you know, go for it, use me on any song, I don't care. Or Grime says, write your own song and split the royalties with me. These things are easily accomplished with software and technology. So I call BS on all of the nonsense. You probably heard my argument with Freeberg where he's like, oh, you don't get it. Like, this is just, you know, giving you access to real-time news. I know that. Like the training models, and the guy's bullying me on this week on All In.
The pod,
like, oh, you don't get it. Like, I kind of do get it. Those guys don't get it. Those guys don't respect copyright because they're not artists and they don't produce like art in the world. So they just don't care. Like most technologists. And I think technologists have to really think about it.
Art and then legal intersect. And look, we've seen this before, right? You know, with music and what, you know, where we are now. And I think the good news is there's good platforms like Spotify who are already connected to and paying artists, and they can make this all right for everyone.
What was your grade?
I'm an A+ on that. I think I just want to see it, you know, well done.
First A++ for me. Yeah. First, and another A+ for you. Last one. So
last one. Okay, here we go. So, you know, we've seen this in different ways, shapes before, which is, you know, these tools that allow you to take like a base model and then put clothes on them. And so in this case, like you can see here, I can change the shirt to this, and I can change the pants to this, and I'll just run the generation here, and it will. So this model allows you to basically, you know, take a base and put your clothing, and it will do the work to apply it. So you can see here, we switched to this.
Okay, so you have a model.
Yep.
You make clothes through prompts, and then it styles the model with the prompts.
Correct.
With the generated clothes.
It puts them on the person, which, you know, this could be really helpful for e-commerce. I think that, you know, again, going down the path we were going last week, building on there. What's even more fascinating, which I thought was pretty funny, it can take like an arbitrary image and also style it on the person.
And here we have a pineapple. So you have the model on the left in her skivvies or underwear. You give it a pineapple and it makes a pineapple dress. Wonderful. Yeah. Hilarious. Yeah. So creative.
Yeah. And so I really think, you know, this is where we're starting to see like a real expansion of these tools, right? These image generation tools and their capabilities where, this is crazy. This is tip of the iceberg, I think, for clothing, for e-commerce, for product, for fashion. Yeah.
We did have this. At one point, Shaq had a deal with a sneaker company where you could design your own sneaker. And so they just gave you like 4 or 5 modules. You say, okay, I want the base of the shoe to be purple. I want this to be Lakers gold. I want this to be Knicks blue, whatever. And add this. You kind of make a Franken shoe, a Franken high top. This is obviously much more sophisticated and awesome. I give this a B+ as presented.
Okay. Yeah. I think, this is just like initial implementation. I think this needs to just now become a service that is offered within, Shopify and other e-commerce resources, and people should play with the model. And so very excited by it.
All right. Great job. Sunny, everybody follow Sundeep on Twitter, x.com/SUNDEEP. Sundeep.
You got it.
I want everybody to do me a favor. If you got to the end of the show, you're a fan. Just search for This Week in Startups on TikTok, This Week in Startups on YouTube, This Week in Startups on Instagram. Please do those 3. Or go to thisweekinstartups.com and you'll see the logos for those things. Find our shorts. We're starting to do shorts of all of these. And then just please say, love the show, Sunny, love the show, JCal, as a comment. If you could just do that, just so I know people are getting to them. And then that also sends signal and we can maybe break the algorithm and maybe get our shorts, because we're trying to do more shorts here. And I'm trying to learn how to get shorts to trend on the other platforms. So we're doing 3. We'll take the top 3 of these every week. We put them on those channels, and I could use your help. So if you like the show, you appreciate what we do here, just do us a favor. Search for This Week in Startups on TikTok, on YouTube Shorts, and on Instagram. If you feel like it, and beyond just commenting, if you wanted to like it or retweet it, you can reshare stuff too now. On these platforms. So just, give it a retweet or whatever you want to call it, or and amplify it.
Remix. I think they call it a remix on Instagram. I don't know what it's called on TikTok.
And we'll see you all next time. Go to the thisweekinstartups.com website to see our new AI-powered website by podcast.ai. Podcast.ai has taken every episode of This Week in Startups, transcribed it, and you can actually talk to a version of the hosts and ask us questions based on the episode. That's a little experiment going on. And it also makes chapter headings and everything. So Podcast AI, which we'll have you feature maybe next week or maybe in the new year, we'll show people how that tool works. But we invested in a company called Podcast AI that just takes every episode, Sonny, builds a website. It's nuts. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.